Howdy folks, and welcome to the Hillbilly Kitchen. Today we're making a 3-ingredient butter biscuit. And Miss Shannon Smith is joining us from WBIR in Knoxville.
Happy to be here. Excited to make a good biscuit.
Yeah, these were actually Bret's favorite biscuit, and they're a very easy biscuit. And I gotta tell you girls, if you want to keep him happy, this seems to work.
Can confirm with other biscuit recipes. I haven't tried this one, but.
So what we have is 2 cups of self-rising flour. You want to get a good flour, and I do use White Lily. That's not paid for. They just make a good flour. And 3/4 cup of milk, half a stick of butter, which is about 1/4 cup, and you can use a little more if you want to. You do want a little to go on the top, and then a little extra flour for when we roll these out.
I have a question. Does it matter what kind of self-rising or all-purpose whole milk, buttermilk, anything like that?
You can use buttermilk in these. I'm just using whole milk.
Sure.
And they will work with any milk, really.
Okay.
So
options.
Yeah, any milk will work. And this is a very basic biscuit, so you can't add stuff to it if you want to, but it comes out every time.
That's important.
Yep. If you do buttermilk, you need to keep in mind it makes it just a tiny bit sour.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
So you can taste it in your biscuits.
Okay. To make a couple to compare.
There's a million ways to cut butter into flour. Okay. I don't know if you know that, but
I've used a cheese grater before.
Yeah, you can use anything. This is not super cold, super hard. It doesn't really need to be. A lot of people think it does, and you can get, the pastry cutter, but I usually use this, and you can do it if you want, but you just want to crumble it. And one of the keys is to make sure that that butter is evenly mixed in your flour, and you want to turn it into little sand almost.
That's interesting.
You
don't want like chunks, right?
No, and you shouldn't. You shouldn't be able to see much of a difference when you get this in. And a lot of women do this with their hands, which is perfectly fine. You can crumble it in there with your hands and kind of squish it. I've seen a lot of chefs that don't do that, and they do the butter almost frozen and grate it.
Yeah.
And I don't know any old women who do that.
Oh, okay. Well, I trust the old women.
Yeah,
first.
So I'm not sure that's entirely necessary that you have that butter super cold and you work it and work it and work it.
It doesn't change the consistency of the biscuit.
I don't think it does.
Yeah.
And I tried that advice because, you're always looking for a better way. But I do not remember my grandmother or any of my aunts or my mother ever using frozen butter.
Okay, noted.
You just want to get it all crumbled up in there, and that's important. And working biscuits is a big deal, and you can do this if you want to. I tend to kind of take over.
Hey, it's your show. I'm just here.
Actually, I'm going to use my hands to save us some time.
Oh, you're good.
But this part is the part where you really work the biscuits.
Okay.
You don't want to work them once you add the milk, and you don't want to work them once you fold them out.
What happens if you, you're going to tell me, if you overwork them?
If you overwork them, they will be hard.
Oh.
Those biscuits that you can use for hockey pucks, that everybody makes jokes about, that's caused from too much working. But you can see how much quicker it is with your hands, and you just squish those lumps of butter up.
Nice. Yeah, we want to eat our biscuits, not throw them.
Yeah. So this part you can go as long as you want, and you can get it super fine. That's not going to hurt your texture any. It doesn't matter until you add your milk.
Aha. I like this giant measuring cup. 8 cups. I'll find one of these.
This was a Christmas present from my youngest daughter
one
year.
sweet.
Yeah. I have lots of kitchen Christmas presents.
I can imagine.
When you cook for a family and then you cook for a living, people tend to do that.
They associate you with, oh, she probably needs another pan.
Yeah. And I have lots of people who send me stuff now.
Oh, that's nice.
They'll see something that I don't have or something that they think I need or that I would enjoy, and they'll send it.
That's really sweet.
That is sweet.
My mom says like kitchen towels. She'll send me a new one for every season. I'm sure you have plenty of those.
Yeah, Alex used to do that. She actually got that one there.
Dear Mom, I get it now. Thank you. Oh, that's cute.
Okay, that's pretty good. And now we just add our milk. And you can do this with your hands too.
Gets a little messy.
It gets a little messy. And I like this little thing here. And this is where you want to kind of start being gentle. You just fold that milk in there until you get it all well combined. And this is a fairly wet batch of dough, so we're going to put a little flour out here for sure.
What happens if it's too wet?
Well, this is pretty wet, and then this is wetter than it normally is.
Okay.
That's what this is for.
Uh-huh.
And the next key to making good biscuits is the right consistency of your dough. You don't want it too wet, or they'll just spread out and have no shape. But you don't want it too dry, or they will be dry.
Right.
Not fluffy.
We don't want that.
No. So we're just going to mix a tiny bit more of this flour in here. Fold these over. And I don't usually roll my biscuits out. I usually just kind of press them out. And we're just going to fold this on until it gets to about the right consistency. Like I said, not too wet, but not too dry.
It's got to stick to your fingers a little bit, right?
Yeah. Oh, it always does. This is pretty sticky. We shouldn't have this much on our fingers normally. Flour, though, a lot of the problem that people have with biscuits is it's hard to measure flour in a measuring cup. If you want to get it exact, you have to weigh it because there's always different amounts. Yeah. So that's where this part comes in. Now, that's a really soft dough. That's going to make a soft biscuit. You want to feel it there. That's what you want.
It's like a little pillow.
Yeah. And we're just going to cut them. I make mine fairly
I'll
thick.
take it from you.
Okay. And just put it in the pan there. And how thick you make them, of course, is going to depend on how thick they are.
Does that change the cook time probably?
A little bit, not too much.
I make cookies on the side, so I'm used to using one of these guys. I just use a cookie cutter when I make biscuits.
My aunts and my grandmother did not used to use a cookie cutter. They would pinch their biscuits off, and they could get them absolutely perfect, and they would all be the same size. Yeah, I'm not that. I cannot.
Now, am I putting these in right? Do they need to be touching?
Fine. Well, that's
sure how
another
many we're
thing.
gonna get.
That's another thing about biscuits. If they are touching, they will rise up higher.
Oh.
If they're not, they'll spread out more.
I had no
So again, it's kind of what kind of biscuit do you want?
Okay.
And when we get all done here, you can. A lot of people will throw away this extra dough. No, because you do work it a little bit more, but as long as you're not going crazy with it, it's still perfectly good.
I don't want to waste a biscuit.
No.
I feel like I want them to touch now because I'm looking at their eyes.
No, we got this one more little one here.
Oh, perfect. I'll go in the middle.
They would shape theirs like this, and I can't even get mine shaped right when I do it. They would be perfectly smooth.
Wow.
I'll kind of put him in the middle there.
Yeah. Kind of
Yeah,
squish
there we
them
go.
together.
Yeah, little bit of room.
Oh, okay.
Just a little bit. About like that. Now, here's another tip, and nobody shares this one with you. You know, we didn't preheat the oven.
Oh.
That's because you want to let them sit on the countertop for just a few minutes before you put them in the oven and let them rest. They will rise up bigger and they will be lighter.
Oh.
But if you ever watched a woman make a big breakfast, you know, with the sausage and gravy and biscuits, she makes her biscuits and then she cooks everything else and then she'll stick her biscuits in the oven. That gives them time to rest.
Huh.
So we're going to turn the oven on now for 15.
4:15. How long do these go in for?
About 15 minutes.
Okay.
So they bake pretty quick.
Yeah.
And we're just going to let it preheat and let them rest. And then we'll put them in the oven.
Amazing.
And we can clean up our mess while they're...
Yeah, while it's cooking. This is our pause in production.
Yeah. This is the part that gets edited. Okay, our biscuits have been cooking for about 15 minutes.
They smell delicious.
We let them rest for about 15 minutes before we put them in the oven. So let's see what we got.
my gosh.
Yeah. Ooh.
Those look pretty delicious.
Yeah. You want them kind of nice and brown.
Mm-hmm.
And butter, when they come out, makes that top, it's not going to make your top soggy, but it's going to make it a little more moist and a little more tender.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
And it did it spread a little bit, but it also rise, like you said, because you put them near each other.
Yep. And, you know, if you pack them in the pan really tight, a different size pan, of course, they'll rise up even more. And it's that touching that gives you the height.
Okay.
And these are really big biscuits. But you can see even the last one that we did out of the scrap dough, it rose up nice there. So you can use all your dough. You don't need to throw it away once you cut it.
Well, that sizzle when it hit the
Oh,
pan.
yeah. My granny would have a heart attack if people threw away biscuit dough.
If anybody's wondering why I'm here, it's because Becky's going to be on our local news in Knoxville next Wednesday. So WBIR, WBIR.com. You can watch you live at 4 o'clock Eastern Time.
Okay.
Next Wednesday. It'll be pretty cool to see you.
And this is actually my first TV interview.
Believe it or not, as much as she does this.
Yeah. So let's see what we got here. It's generally a good idea to let them sit just a minute. And if you let them sit just a minute, they will totally release from the pan.
Oh.
Well, these already are. This is a good seasoned pan, but you can see here how big they are.
But you can also see where they're kind of flaking, which is
Yeah, they do have a nice flake, and they get really big and really nice. And that's kind of all there is to it. It's a very simple recipe, pretty fast, even if you give them that time to rise up before you put them in the oven, and that gives you time to get the rest of your breakfast together.
Yeah, what would you serve with this?
Oh, sausage and gravy, of course. Maybe some eggs, some fried apples if you really want to get a big breakfast
a little
going.
Sweet going on there?
And we have all those recipes. We'll put some links and maybe do some end tags.
Wonderful.
But I want to thank Shannon for joining us today.
Thanks. I didn't do much, but I learned a lot. That's important.
And before we go, I want to leave you all with Ephesians 4:32. Be ye kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God, for Christ's sake, forgave you. With the stress of our current situation and current events, it really is important to remember that, to remember to be kind to one another and show that love of God to each other. Don't let the stress of what's going on turn you into that person that you don't want to run into.
I've been there.
Thank y'all so much for joining us on the Hillbilly Kitchen. If you haven't already, please don't forget to click like and subscribe before you leave. And until next time, remember to put God first.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Okay, and we're done. And we can eat biscuits now.
Yeah, now we can try them.